Hi, I'm Carl Segno and you're watching the Open Source News. This is the first video in a two-video segment on finding information online. Thanks for watching, and if you have a mind to contribute, thanks for contributing. If you're looking for alternate sources of news, ideas, information, where do you go? In November, two things happened to me. One, a few days before the due date, a friend sent me an email about Canada's next great Prime Minister, and now I'm all wrapped up in this thing. Two, Barack Obama got elected. I grew up in Vancouver, which could be one of the most media-concentrated cities on Earth. Just about everything, except for a newspaper called the Georgia Strait, is owned by CanWest Global, which means in a sense, in Vancouver, if you want an alternate perspective from the mainstream media, the prospects are pretty grim. So I stopped following the news for years. If it wasn't in an academic article, I wouldn't read it. When they elected Obama, suddenly I had to know if he was really going to change things, or if the campaign was just rhetoric. The jury's still out on that. But I started following news again, and the first thing I came across was an independent news network called The Real News. This program was founded by a guy named Paul Jay, who did a hit documentary called Return to Kandahar. He's a dual citizen, Canada and the United States, grew up in Toronto. He started The Real News with the idea that if you have corporations or the government funding public access to information, you can't weed out their interests. And what you end up with is not propaganda so much as bias. The Real News project is less than 2 years old, and already they've collected hundreds of videos. It's entirely user-funded and has a substantial amount of money coming in over the World Wide Web. Now, of course, it's got two sort of biases of its own. One, it's fairly left-wing, and two, it kind of caters to your news junkie types for the moment, in that it is more analytical and less quick updates about global stories. Still, they managed to put together coverage, very comprehensive on the subject of the United States, not bad on the subject of Canada, and a smattering of world coverage. India, Thailand, Congo, Latin American coverage is pretty good. If you're looking for something a little deeper and more complex, and in many ways more honest than corporate media, or government media like PBS or CBC, The Real News looks pretty good. What they're missing is coverage of the European Union. But they do syndicate programs from other corporate news sources, like, for instance, The Guardian in the UK. Their coverage of the EU is pretty good. And if you want to supplement that, those of you that speak French might check out the Courrier International, which is a Paris-based publication. Not video news, but very comprehensive, very credible, very intelligent, and very up-to-date. Here's the link. Here's the link. Here's the link. If you want to get news on humanitarian crises, the best source I found was just given to me recently. I was tipped off by a friend who just did an internship with the UN. The UN's reliefweb page carries comprehensive, up-to-date information about humanitarian crises across the world. So if you are a global crisis junkie, or you're looking for where money this Christmas season would best be sent if you want to give people the gift of charitable donations, have a look at reliefweb. Here's the link. Trying to acclimatize back to being a person who followed the news, those are more or less the sources that I've been using to get my information. This is nothing like a comprehensive list of the places you could go to find information on the internet. All it is the places I went to find information on the internet. So I've done my part, now you do yours. It might become obvious that even if I don't like the idea of distinctions between left and right, I'd probably be more left than right. So if you're a neocon, or a libertarian, or a fiscal conservative, or a centrist, or a Zionist, or a Soviet, or a moderate, or a liberal, or a fundamentalist, or an anti-disestablishmentarian, or any one of those other delicious colors and flavors of politics and thought that there are out in the world, post your set of links up to information on the web.